Alright, hello everyone. Here we are back for a Golf Clash tutorial here, and what you might want to set your bag up for is something with maybe just a little bit more topspin. You definitely want to try to keep the precision if in at all possible. So I am going to put hammerhead on here, and similarly with this cataclysm, you can use this kind of a backup. If you have it at a 7, I would say just go ahead and do it. Because it's going to be a little bit more beneficial of a club. Otherwise, you might just want to focus on some precision more than anything. What I'll typically do off the tee here is relatively close to maybe plus 10%. And we're going to use Kingmaker. This should be, a very fair hole. I won't need much overpower at all, if very, 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 very little. And similarly, I would expect that you guys would probably be kind of in the same situation where you wouldn't really need it. So let's take a look here. So, wow. Definitely not what you wanted to do there. So 11.3 here. And an extra 10%, 9 rings. I'm going to use full top, just a little bit of counter here. And you can see where I'm aiming. As I mentioned, I won't need much power here at all. And I'll probably just counter curl a little bit. So there's 5 rings, 9 rings right there. So we're going to go 9, and I'm just going to kind of counter curl it. And you can see that, might just kind of gently go into power, not very much. And just a tiny bit of counter curl just to kind of get that wind resistance going. Ooh, that's just a little bit too much, a little bit more. I do like to get kind of in that, so that's why you can see that I'm kind of generating that momentum. I like to shift it down into there. The more right that you get that, and towards the end of the fairway, the easier the second shot will be. But I'll just have to, be a little bit careful. Probably didn't need to quite start as aggressively towards the right. I could have just came out 1 ring, for instance. But I also had, probably a considerable amount of counter curl as well, probably a little bit more than necessary. You have to kind of think in terms of, since the update, the curl kind of changed, and when you counter curl and stuff like that, it's probably scaled back. You probably only have to go about half as much, maybe 2/3 as much as what you used to do. But let's take a look here. So what I'll do is I'll usually full top spin this. You can see, I intend to kind of land similarly to here, and I'm going to just let the wind effect kind of take it right into the center up here. So what I'm going to do is somewhere in the neighborhood of 11, 12 rings. Well, probably about 11 rings because my accuracy is 95. So you'll see me aim over here. I'm not going to do the counter curl because I actually want the ball to kind of drift a little bit more left. If you can see the way that I was setting up my ball guide, it was kind of towards the right half of the fairway. And hopefully the wind effect here should help to pull it back towards the center. And there you can see that it is kind of just barely, it does kind of hit a downslope there and roll to the right. And, as I mentioned, it should come back. And it doesn't appear like it really did there, but I can, assure you that, into that hill where it kicks hard right, it's still, the wind is definitely helping it to, the wind effect there is definitely helping it to kind of hold its line. What I'll usually do for a standard wind is I will do some curl and kind of curl it to the left to kind of get it back. But I figured with that wind, I probably wasn't going to need it because it's just going to kind of naturally bring itself back. So let's take a look here at the last shot. What I usually do is the thorn. This is a very, very tough side wind pitch. I'll usually play it no elevation and just kind of play my ring number. This is actually probably the most holeable wind we could have got. So let's take a look at this, and here's why: because it really takes the fringe out of the equation, which is good. And so all I'll need to do is kind of play my offset. So you do want to kind of offset just a little bit because the wind effect is really going to be strong here. So what I'm going to do is probably somewhere around here, 5.8 rings, and you can see my level of offset as well. You probably need to have a little bit of both in this situation for this pitch. So there you can see kind of what I'm doing. Perfect ball. This should be pretty close. And surely enough, there I was able to get it. So as I mentioned, you know, probably want to do some kind of off ball guide offset here. And, you know, most people under adjust this one in terms of, you know, they don't kind of anticipate the wind effect quite in the best way. And not to mention, a lot of times you have to set up very close to the fringe or on the fringe, which makes that shot just a little bit tougher as well. But there you can see I was able to get it. Hopefully you guys are too. Good luck with that hole, and I'll see you guys on 4 coming up.